Hey everyone, this is Stephen Strawn at Iron Cookware, where you can find information to help you better collect, restore, and use cast iron cookware. Today I'm going to be doing something that a lot of cast iron enthusiasts call a no-no, and that is cleaning up my cast iron skillet with dish soap. And I'm going to be doing that coming right up. Before we get started, I just want to say thank you to everyone that's purchased my product, Easy Beezy Cast Iron Seasoning. The purchase of this product helps keep this channel going, and I just want to say thank you so very much. Now let's get on into our video. I've heard it said so many times, never use soap on cast iron cookware. Sometimes you just got to. This is a GSW. Now look at it, it's really caked up. Now this piece right here is one of my favorites, and I use it every morning and every afternoon. Now this is my GSW, and it's got a nice wooden handle, and it is made in Canada. And this is a number 9 made in Canada fry pan by GSW. This thing is starting to look cruddy, and it needs some TLC. And I'm going to use some soap because it really needs a good cleaning. It's starting to get nasty. Now, soap is not going to hurt your cast iron. Now, I've heard people say it's not like the old soap where they used lye to make soap. But really, even the old soap is not an issue, even when it's made with lye. The lye even changes some of its composition somewhat once you add the fats and the blend and all that to make the soap itself. So if lye soap was going to eat the seasoning off of your skillet, then why are so many people using boutique soaps? Because boutique soaps are made with lye and they're using it on their skin. So even the old soap is not so much of an issue. I thought it was myself, but really it wasn't. Now, if you haven't got a good seasoned skillet, you're probably going to take some of the seasoning that's not very well polymerized on there off, and you probably want to take that off anyway and go ahead and get you a good start again. So let me pull the camera down and we'll take a look. We're going to go ahead and start off and let our water get as hot as we can. And we have a lot. Before we even add soap, we're just going to kind of give it a little rough rinsing. Look at that, it's terrible. Okay, and it's really not too bad. Good seasoning makes a difference. So, we're just going to use a little bit of dish soap. And I'm using a little plastic scrubby, and you can tell I've used it on a warm piece of cast iron a few times. It's beginning to get to the end of its life, and I'm going to go over the handle too because I do have some grease on the handle. We're going to hit the back of it because I want to get rid of all the sticky, and I don't want a lot of old seasoning to build up and make it hard for the heat to get through the outside. We don't want to insulate it by years of built up seasoning on the outside. I would suggest going ahead and rubbing your hands over the whole piece and see if you got any big spots. Like around the edge right here, I don't want this seasoning on the outside to just build up. So I'm going to hit it with a little bit of an SOS pad just on the edges, because I don't want that really gnarly seasoning on the outside. just to kind of get rid of it. Now you don't have to use an SOS pad, but I want to get rid of this really soft buildup. Everything else feels pretty good. Let's get our water pressure down just a little so we don't splash everywhere. You don't have to use paper towels, it's just what I've got handy. And go ahead and make sure the handle is dry. Go ahead and dry out the inside. Now, if it's not well seasoned, you may get some rust. And if you look on the outside, you can see where I'm starting to get some of this issue right there. I think I'm going to go back and clean some of that. And see right here, you can feel it. You see where the oil is trying to polymerize, but it's on there so thick that it's just becoming gummy and not even seasoning. So I'm going to take some of that off. And I'm going to use my SOS pad. And we had some around the edges. Now if you leave that, it's just going to build up and get thicker and thicker, and you're just going to have a crud. And I don't want that. I want it to always look like it's being used, but not look like it's being abused. And gummy seasoning is not good seasoning. Remember, the #1 rule of seasoning cast iron, less is best. When you got a really big, thick, gummy layer, it's just not going to be that good. You can fill all the way around this piece and get rid of any of that gummy, splotchy seasoning. You'll say, well, why don't you just strip it down and start all over again? Well, I like this skillet and I like using it every day. And it's seasoned really well. There's no reason to have to go back and strip the whole pan. I just want to get rid of this soft seasoning. Okay. Let's try the rinse again. Okay, I don't see any of the gummy. Now I do see some places where my metal is starting to shine through a little bit. That's fine, we're going to take care of that in just a minute. Let's get her all dry. So let's go to the stovetop. Okay, we've got our pan clean. And we got all of the sticky parts. Now you can see the seasoning where it's been cooked on so many times, how some of it has been heated up so much that the seasoning has burned away, and some of it has got a little more cakey and just not very even at all. So we're going to do what we call a stovetop season. A lot of people has asked me, can you do a stovetop season with a gas stove? And my answer is yes, you can, and I'm going to show you how to do it right now. We're just going to pull the camera down and we're going to give this a little bit of a boost on the stovetop. First of all, we're going to go ahead and get our stove eye cut on. And I'm going to go ahead and use my wok burner. You don't have to use a big burner. I like using a big burner because it gets the whole entire piece warm at one time. And I'm not going to let it get hot all of a sudden. We usually want to start on low and then bring up the temperature a little bit by little. It's the reason why I continue turning the pan over, is I don't want the bottom to get too hot before the sides get hot. I want it to heat up evenly. Because if the bottom heats up really fast and the sides don't, and it gets heated up unevenly, you can cause warping. So I'm just kind of taking my time. An easier way to do this is go ahead and cut it on low. And just let it heat up slowly. Don't get in a hurry, be patient. But once my piece is warm enough on the sides, I'm going to add my Easy Beezy. Okay, I've got my sample of Easy Beezy, and I've used it quite a few times. I'm just going to put a little on. Now if your pan is too hot to touch, then you probably want to let it cool down a little bit or use oven mitts. Now today I'm going to be using a paper towel, but the best material is going to be 100% cotton t-shirt material, like just a regular t-shirt, one that's old and worn out, and you can repurpose it as a seasoning cloth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I have Easy Beezy a little bit shiny over the entire piece, top, sides, and bottom. Okay. It looks like I'm just slathering it on there, and I really am. But I'm going to go back after I know that I've got coverage, and I'm going to wipe away all of the excess that I can. Now this thing is pretty warm. It's really too hot for me to handle with my bare hands. I'll go ahead and get another paper towel. Now it looks like I'm wiping away all of the seasoning, but I'm not. It's still there. Looking a little more dull, and that's what we want. We want to wipe the piece down like you're trying to remove every bit of it. See, there we go. Looks kind of dry. But believe it or not, it's not dry. There's still plenty of seasoning on there. Okay, now let's flip it over. And we're going to buff like we're trying to buff away the seasoning. Like we're trying to wipe every bit of it off. Okay, now let's go to the bottom. Still a little bit shiny. Let's get a little piece of dry paper. And we're going to buff it. Okay. Now if you're just going to be doing the cooking surface and not the whole pan, you can just do the surface, wipe away the excess, and as soon as it starts smoking, you'll cut your stove eye off. Give it another little wipe. The number one rule for seasoning cast iron cookware is less is best. You do have to be a little more careful with an open fire, just because you may singe the hairs off of your arm. And we're just going to let it sit here and heat up until we start seeing some smoke. We're seeing a little bit of smoke coming up now. Make sure that you got your vent fan turned on. Let's turn it over. See how we're doing on the bottom. Starting to see a little bit of smoke on the bottom now. And then we're just going to cut it off. And we're just going to let it cool down naturally. Okay, it's cooled down and it looks really nice. And it's got a good, really good slick surface. The backside is still kind of splotchy. That's not an issue. At least all the old sticky, loose seasoning is gone, and I've started over with a brand new layer. You can do stovetop seasoning as many times as you want to, and you can get better and better results. But I'm just going to go with this because it's my everyday user, and I'm going to be using it in the morning. And if it starts getting bad, I'll clean it up again. But for now, it looks great, and I'm happy with it. I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, please don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I promise I'll keep more coming. And I just want to say thank you again for watching Cast Iron Cookware. Before you go, I would like to share something with you really quickly. In 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 6, it says, "Wherefore also it is contained in the Scriptures, Behold, I lay in Zion a chief cornerstone, elect, precious, and he that believeth on him shall not be confounded." I just want to say, share the word and be a blessing.